Hi, and welcome to another episode of Spinster Stories, where I spin yarn and tell spooky stories. Today's story is a particularly rough one, especially for me. We are going to be going over the Maddie Clifton case. She was only 8 years old when she was murdered by Josh Phillips, who was 14. So, both very, very young to be, caught up in something so horrific. As a mother myself, I can't imagine going through what either of their mothers went through. Like, it's hard on both ends. One, to lose your child at such a young age, and two, to have your child end up being a murderer at such a young age. Both very, very difficult things to have to go through. Before we get into the details of that, I do have some finished yarn to show you. I've got that pink and green and white polwarth I was spinning a few episodes ago. Came out very, very nice, super soft. Not quite sure what I am wanting to make with it yet, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. On the wheel, I have some black alpaca. It is from Snowdrift Alpaca Fiber Farm in Montana. Super, super nice wool. I am very excited. Probably going to be making some gloves for my brother with this, so hopefully he likes those. And let's just get into today's story. So, before we get into the murder case and everything, we're going to go over some background info. So, Josh and Maddie were neighbors. They lived across the street from each other. Maddie liked to play with Josh. They would hang out all the time. Josh's dad was not a big fan of that. He did not think that Josh should be hanging around girls younger than him, which they had a pretty significant age gap. He was almost twice her age, which personally I do find that a little odd that he would be wanting to play with the little girls when he could find people his own age to hang out with. So one day, Maddie went over to Josh's house and asked to play. Josh's parents weren't home, so he was a little nervous, but he said yes. So they went into the backyard and started playing baseball together, just the two of them. Josh claims that he hit Maddie on accident with the baseball in the eye, and she was bleeding and screaming, super upset because she was injured. And he he panicked. He didn't want his dad to find out. He thought he would get in so much trouble. So he took Maddie, he dragged her inside the house and hit her in the head with a baseball bat and then shoved her underneath his waterbed. He just wanted to get her to stop screaming, and he claims he panicked and just acted out of panic. So she's in there, and then dad comes home, and Josh goes out and he's hanging out with his dad for a little bit, and then goes back to his room where he finds Maddie. She's still alive, and she's moaning and just making noise. And so he has a little Leatherman tool, like a little pocket knife. And he takes that and he cuts her throat and stabbed her in the chest 7 times. So I don't know about you, but if I, was panicked I was going to get in trouble, I don't think that I would, do the same thing. Most people don't go straight to murder. So I know in some of the reports I've been reading, people are saying they don't believe his story, that he panicked and this was all premeditated, because when she was found, her shorts were missing. So Josh claimed that when he dragged her into the house, that's when her shorts just came off. But there was no dirt on her body or anything. So it doesn't make sense that her shorts would have come off when he dragged her through the mud. there would have been mud on her body. Ugh. So Maddie, he shoves her back underneath his waterbed, like underneath the mattress and bed frame, so she's hidden in his room. In the meantime, Maddie's mother is really worried because she can't find her. So she calls the cops, and it's reported that she's missing around 5 p.m. And they start a huge neighborhood wide search, like a huge search party. And the cops come and they look through Josh's house for any, any sign of her or anything. They didn't find anything at the time, but Josh decided to join the search party and was so eager looking for her. Whole time she's dead underneath his bed, which is just sickening to me. So they are searching and searching and searching. 6 days go by and they're just looking for her. Josh stated that at this point he was living in denial and just pretending it never happened and just goes on with life. There's missing posters of her everywhere, so he has to see that everywhere he goes. Everybody's talking about it. And he's just keeping this huge secret. And then on November 10th, while Josh is at school, Melissa, his mom, like his room smelled awful. So she was, going through trying to clean it up because she thought it was just nasty. He was just being a gross teenager. His room was gross. And she'd been asking him to clean his room for a while and he's just not doing it. So she finally just decides, oh, I'll just do it myself then. So she's in his room and she notices a wet spot by his bed. She thinks the bed's leaking because it's a water bed. So she thinks there's a leak somewhere. And so she's lifting up the mattress and then she sees Maddie. And she's super upset, calls the police immediately, tells them what they found. And Josh was arrested at his school and immediately confessed when they brought him in for questioning. Uh, Josh was tried as an adult. The trial took a while to get to trial. It only lasted for 2 days. It was a really quick trial. Trial was on July 6th of 1999, and he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole because since he was under 16, he wasn't eligible for the death penalty. But that's what everybody was pushing for, was the death penalty, but they couldn't do that because he was under 16. So he got life without parole. And he is still currently in prison. And yep, he tried to appeal because there was that thing with the courts, with the federal government saying that it's unconstitutional for someone under 18 to be convicted of life without parole. They find that unconstitutional. So he got a retrial and was again sentenced to life, but with the possibility of parole after a certain amount of time. But it's going to be a while before he's eligible for that. As of right now, he's still currently life in prison. The courts, they did ask him to try to do an apology letter for the Clifton family for what he's done. And he said that he refused. He didn't want to do a letter because he said that the tone and like his true like apology wouldn't come through in just a letter. He wanted to do it in person. Maddie Clifton's mother has said she does not want to speak to him at all. So that's not, she doesn't want anything to do with him, which I completely understand. If something like that happened to my kid, I don't think I would have it in me to ever look at that person again, even if they were trying to apologize. That's just too big of a hurt Yeah. And that brings us to the end of today's video. That was a rough one. Um, if you have any suggestions on future stories or you have your own spooky stories you would like me to cover, go ahead and send them in. And we'll see you next time on Spinster Stories.